Welcome back to the Lights Out podcast, bedtime stories for boys and girls around the world. Good evening, boys and girls. Are you ready for bed? Are you all snuggled up and ready for another Lights Out bedtime story? Well, you're in for a treat tonight, because tonight's story is called Isabella and Penelope by Maggie Grinnell. And a big shout out goes to Maggie Grinnell, the awesome author who's supporting the show's mission of 1,000 ad-free stories forever for boys and girls around the world. You can check out her books in the link below. They're so great. And so back to the story, because it's all about the story. Isabella and Penelope is an inspiring children's book about a courageous little girl named Isabella who tragically loses her father in a plane crash and stops speaking as a result. But one day, she befriends a pink caterpillar named Penelope, who begins to help Isabella heal. Their heartfelt encounter transforms both of their lives forever. Isabella and Penelope by Maggie Grinnell. Once upon a time, a small pink caterpillar eats its way out of a green hefty garbage bag and crawls across the driveway to the grass. The caterpillar, Penelope, is unique, not because of her cotton candy colour, but because she has feelings like a human. Penelope crawls to the dewy green grass and slides over a blade. Why am I so cold? She wonders, and then realizes it's the fresh dew that is cooling her belly. Penelope continues on. Next, she encounters a bridge. What can this be? Am I to go under it or over it? She asks. The bridge is a small branch that has fallen off a tree. She decides to go over the bridge. As she climbs up, she feels the rough bark scratching her underside. Ouch! She exclaims, but then starts to enjoy the rubbing on her belly, and soon she is smiling. Next, Penelope encounters a pretty pink rose that has fallen on the grass. As she crawls up to the rose, she realizes they are the same color. She thinks, I must be as pretty as a flower. I am sure I must smell as nice too. Penelope continues on her adventure. She soon realizes there is something in her way, and she stops crawling. A large blue blanket with pictures of puffy clouds on it is spread out on the grass, blocking the caterpillar's path. Penelope looks up and sees something large. At first, the little caterpillar is frightened, but then she realizes it is a human. A young girl who is sitting on the blanket having a picnic with someone else who is not there. Isabella remembers and loves someone who died in a plane crash. She's 6 years old and has olive skin and expressive brown eyes. Her long curly brown hair cascades down her neck and rests on her shoulders. Penelope watches Isabella as she stands up, stretches her arms and tilts her body side to side. Isabella then twirls her body round and around and tumbles dizzily to the ground. A screen door leads from the house out to the backyard. Christina, Isabella's mum, steps out through the door. Christina can't help but think to herself, I miss her daddy too. When Isabella was told her daddy was in heaven, she stopped talking. 2 years have passed and Isabella still hasn't spoken. She has picnics in the backyard with an imaginary friend. Christina believes Isabella's imaginary friend is her daddy. Lying on the soft blanket, Isabella sees Penelope, who's attempting to crawl on top of the blanket. Isabella watches the caterpillar curiously. She's not afraid of the caterpillar, but rather wants to help her. Isabella carefully picks up Penelope and gently places her down on a soft fold of the blanket. Isabella thinks the pink caterpillar is pretty against the blue and white of the blanket. Isabella sets up another plate for this new picnic guest. Penelope crawls on top of the plate and stops to rest and enjoy the smoothness of it. She decides she would like to be friends with Isabella and stays with her on the blanket all afternoon. As the sun goes down, Isabella picks up Penelope and takes her inside. In her bedroom, Isabella places Penelope inside a small pink purse which will serve as a sleeping container for the night. Isabella places the purse high on a bookshelf next to her bed. The next morning, Isabella wakes up and finds that Penelope is gone. She's not asleep in a pink container. Isabella is very sad to think that she has lost her new friend and starts to look all around her room for Penelope. Isabella looks high and low, under her bed, in the closet, and among all her toys. She thinks to herself, "Where are you, little caterpillar?" A slight fluttering makes her ears perk up and catches her eyes. She looks towards the window and sees a pink butterfly with black dots on its wings sitting on the ledge. Isabella goes to the window and looks closely at the butterfly. She tilts her head and scrunches her eyebrows in confusion. Something about the butterfly is so familiar to her. "It is I, Penelope, your friend," says the butterfly, hoping Isabella will recognize her. "Penelope!" Isabella shouts in excitement. This is her first word in 2 years. Isabella thinks Penelope is going to fly out the window, never to return. She begins to cry and says, "Don't leave me like my daddy did, please." Isabella begs through her tears. "I'm not going to leave you," says Penelope. "I will always be around. But at first I must fly to heaven to tell your daddy that you love him. I will be back as soon as I can, and when I am not here, you will know that your daddy is sending you a kiss every time you see other butterflies fluttering nearby," Penelope says. Penelope waves her wings to say goodbye to Isabella and flies out the window and up into the blue sky. Isabella watches as Penelope flies off. She then runs as fast as she can to her mummy's bedroom. "I love you," she tells her mother with a squeak in her voice. Christina, who tries to hold back her own tears, turns to her daughter. They wrap their arms around each other and don't let go for a very long time. A pink butterfly with black spots on its wings comes to rest on the window ledge in Christina's room, and then a blue butterfly appears, and then a yellow one, and a black one, and a green one. The end. Wow, that was such a great story about a caterpillar, a butterfly, and a little girl who hadn't spoken for a while. You can find this book in the link below. It's called Isabella and Penelope by Maggie Grinnell. Here on the Lights Out podcast, bedtime stories for boys and girls around the world. Good night